Okay, I'm doing a test of a breakout trade of the non-farm productivity, the quarterly report. I'm using the bonds, and here's how I'd set it up. This is my last test of this report. If it tests well, then I'll start trading it on a regular basis. Last quarter was a good trade. The previous quarter, my test was it didn't move a whole heck of a lot. I'd use a breakout. I'd use a bracket distance of 3. Don't forget it's bonds, so you do false, 16, and true. Okay. The entry time we're going to use is 8:29:59 because it's bonds. So I usually figure that they react a little slowly. You know what? Let's do 57 because there's no reason to do anything else. That's the way the HIRA normally would be. There is no HIRA on this. This is an unauthorized trade. I'm testing it for my own personal use. Profit target I would use on ZB is 4. I'd make my second target a 12. My stop, I would risk $150 per contract roughly, so I'd use a target of 5. This is a sim. I'm not prepared to put it on real money yet. I'd enable it, and the contract we're using is 916. Apply it and get ready. We've still got 5 minutes, so I'm going to probably pause in a second. But I did want to go over that setup with you. It is an unauthorized report. In other words, there is no HIRA. But I've watched it a little bit. I mean, not a little bit. I've watched it enough that it looks like a report that does move. So I'll be back in a little bit. I've still got about 4 minutes until the report is released. On unauthorized reports, I don't use a 20-second rule. I usually give it a minute or two because they're going to be slower moving because that's why Jay has not chosen them. One of the reasons that he hasn't added them yet is because they don't move as fast as our regular reports. So I do give them a little bit more time than 20 seconds on a breakout and a trap. I usually give it 1 to 2 minutes before I decide if I'm going to continue with the trade. Okay, so I'll be back in about 2 minutes and we'll see how it works out. Okay, so we've got about a minute until the report is going to execute. So don't forget that my brackets are going to show up 3 seconds before the report takes place. I've tested my time. I've gone, as I always do, to time.is, and it syncs me. It's been great. My computer's been great this past month. It's been syncing like a charm. So we've got about 30 seconds left. Just a quick look at the strategy, how I did it. 3, bracket, false, 16, true. 8:29:57. I'm using 2 positions, a target of 4 and 12, and a stop of 5. Okay, so it's bonds. I'm trading ZB 916. It's the non-farm productivity quarterly report, and I think that's the key. It's the quarterly one where there's a hope of getting some movement. So we'll see what happens. There's the report. I've seen this report where it does nothing. It's a matching number on the productivity. The unit labor costs are 0.5% higher than what they expected. So a tiny bit better. Well, a bit better. It's probably more than a tiny bit. So theoretically, because you've got a matching number, probably not a trade that I want to be in, is my gut result. Matching numbers don't lead us to any kind of real good moving action. So I think in this case, I would cancel the report. Let's make a note that our fills are 11 and 5, okay? Our fill on the long side is 11. Our fill on the short side is 5. And we'll see what happens. We'll give it a minute or two to see if there's any movement. So we made it to 9, but it went down to 8. So you can see when numbers are matching like they were on the non-farm productivity, you just don't have any movement. So we're over a minute into the trade. We wouldn't have been filled. So canceling this one made total sense. But this is a way that you can test reports check and see how they act. Unfortunately, this is not a great test because the numbers were very close. So it doesn't give us a real, good test. Had the numbers been different, then we'd be able to see if we had enough movement to make this report worth trading. So I'm going to have to test it again. I'm not getting enough feedback from this particular report to throw money at it. Okay, folks? So this was a test teaching you how to use JOBB to test different reports. Take care. This is Lee Goldstein, Lee at JOBB@breakout.net. Look at that. Still wouldn't have been filled. It's only 10. Our fill was 11. Over 2 minutes into the report, still not filled. I would have canceled for sure by now. And just not enough movement for my liking. Take care.